I am Stephen Tam. I am the CTO here of Salesforce, and as you see in the bottom, it says hashtag coding CTO. So I'm not some sort of figurehead. Up on stage, we have some principal distinguished architects types, and then the audience in the front row are the people that actually know the answers. We're going to introduce ourselves in just a second, but the first thing we must do is show you the safe harbor slide. Now, read it, study it at your own leisure, but this is one of the sessions where we will be telling you things using numbers that you don't understand, like 202 and 204, and saying things that we're probably never actually going to do. So please take everything that we say with many grains of salt and do not make any purchasing decisions based on anything said by Doug or Phil. So with that, please queue up or line up, depending on where you're from, in front of the microphone, and this is a Q&A session. So if there were no questions, I would fill in, but it seems like we have a gentleman first. Now, we're going to introduce ourselves along the line here before you ask the question, but please prepare good ones, and they can't all be about governor limits. Or person, do not ask about person accounts.
Just kidding.
Okay, you can't only ask about person accounts. Thank you. So, introducing down the line, there are some people in the audience, but here's Phil.
I'm Phil. I work on Lightning, and also work on Salesforce One.
I'm Richard Pack. I work on Lightning as well.
Doug Chasman, lead architect, Force.com.
Scott Bessler, chief architect, RelateIQ, Salesforce IQ.
And then in the audience, we have an architect from Radiant 6. We have anybody here from Orange? No? Nobody is here from ExactTarget, sorry. But I should be able to handle some of those questions. Well, Janine should. Yeah, and when it comes to IoT Cloud, Janine can talk about that as well. And then Walter's in the audience somewhere, and Kedar, the CTO of CRM, apparently didn't get the memo. So, with that, sir, please tell us where you're from, company-wise, and then ask a question.
My name is Michael Farrington. My nickname is Michael Force. I'm the Chief Product Officer of Ringlead. And I've got an easier question just to get us going here. I'm not going to beat you up over bugs or any of that stuff, which is likely to be the next few questions. But I've been to this session for, I know how it goes. So, no, I'm not beating anyone up. So my question is actually just about acquisitions. And I was curious, just from a developer point of view, when Salesforce goes and wants to acquire a company, right? As a developer myself, I'm thinking, if I was in your shoes, I might be thinking like, well, hey guys, why are we going to pay for this? I could build it better. Or I might be thinking, oh, I don't want to adopt their code, someone else's foreign code, and now that's going to be part of our stuff. I was just wondering like how that conversation goes internally, like from a developer point of view, and how much you guys maybe push back, or maybe you embrace it, or just, how that goes.
So this is a question for me then. At least two of the people on stage came into Salesforce through acquisition. Phil was from a company called SiteMasher in Vancouver, and he was the chief poobah. And same with Scott from RelateIQ. One of the quarter of my jobs is to do M&A, working with John Samorgi's team, doing stuff with Salesforce Ventures. And when it comes to acquisitions, the way that I'm going to say it that won't get me fired is that often tactics dictate strategy. So we find a market need, we find something where we see a $1 billion market, and then you go into Mark's offsite in Hawaii, and we sit around, and Mark just hammers home that we have to do something really bold. And so a lot of the acquisitions, like ExactTarget or RelateIQ, were not just the technology. It was also about buying a business, buying people with vision. So it isn't just about what their code is written in. Other acquisitions we do are more around acqui-hires. And other acquisitions that we do are specific niches that we have. Like, for example, we acquired a company called Activa Live that does live agent chat. It was much more of a tactic that we needed to better compete with Service Cloud. I got to say this, though. I go into the room, and I have done a lot of due diligence on tech companies, and usually the technology that we see from the companies we buy is very, very good. I said usually. There are exceptions, you know. No, I was thinking more of the Wales company, but that's a whole other story. My input and the technical due diligence input is only one factor into what we do, and I have gone into meetings where Mark looks at me and says, "Don't worry, this isn't going to be your problem to figure out and integrate it." And then 6 months pass after the acquisition, and then I go into a meeting where Mark says, "Why the hell haven't you integrated it yet?" Actually, that was a discussion last night. So, sorry, Derek. We'll talk about that later. So it's a long-winded answer, but it's very, very complicated. Some things we buy because we want to buy a business, we want to buy revenue. Others we buy because we want a really strong technical leader in that area. Others, like RelateIQ, was because we felt that we were behind when it comes to data products, and we didn't have an email client. And so it depends. As a developer, you know, ExactTarget is written in C# and uses a lot of SQL Server and is not a stack that's fairly easy to integrate. However, when we bought Phil's company, it was also only in C#. But Phil, who is awesome, rewrote it all in Java in like a weekend. So you either get on board or you get off. So every happy acquisition is the same, and every bad acquisition is bad in its own way. So
A little bit to that. From the other side, so I think one of the things that happens is it's a lot about the people, especially as we were a small company and we got acquired, and it's a lot about the people that we're going to work with on a day-to-day basis. And you really, over the time, you're sort of deciding whether you're going to actually want to stay with them and actually like them after you go through the acquisition, because it's a pretty intense process. And to Stephen's credit, the Salesforce process is actually really positive. I've gone through another one that was less positive.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for keep up the good work. Thanks for being here today.
Oh, no. Thank you. We would not be here if it wasn't for you people, because you just stopped paying for the service. So thank you. Next.
Hi, I'm Nathan Pepper. S-Force be with you on the interwebs, and have the pleasure of working with colleagues at Financial Force and other community members, just because they come out and talk at the LA Dev Group. Quick question, just version control. Not like, is it coming, when's it coming, but in what container is that going to be doable? Like, how is your guys' vision of what you guys want to do with version control and or build anything, like building a build process?
Is it Josh? Yep. Josh Kaplan here is the product manager in charge of Apex, so he's the one you yell at. And other things. What else? Introduce yourself and say what you're in charge of.
Hi, everybody. My name is Josh. I'm product manager for Apex and developer tools and a couple other ancillary related things. We have a few different things we're working on with version control. I think you will see some things that are going to be in the near term that were demonstrated. Probably, I think there were some sessions on it this week that sort of show our current plan. We've got some other things that we're working on that are going to be more broadly applicable in the next year. They're still kind of coming together, so I don't have exact answers for you. But you will see something probably very different a year from now, which I think everyone's going to be excited about. And I'm just going to throw the safe harbor slide up and.
Okay, as I said before, this is a Q&A session. So please, queue up and ask your questions.
Hey, some technical question. This is we're always looking. Every time you have a lot of triggers before insert, after insert, and all those. Is there any plan for like before read triggers are there?
Was that a question about whether there's going to be before read triggers?
After read or anything? Because we want to pass some kind of secure data on those kind of things before they read the data for certain users, and other users, those kind of things.
We're debating about how to answer your question, so I'm going to give it to the two people who are debating. Here you go.
I'm not sure.
Just a follow-up question, which is why you're using it for security filters?
Yeah, security.
So why wouldn't you use the object security? Is that insufficient in some ways?
But within the object security, the fields, some half values to be some users, and so like a social security number, some people can see the full value, some people can see the half of the value, those kind of stuff. So.
Let's not all volunteer at once, Jim.
Walter?
I got nothing.
We'll follow up later. I don't know that.
That's interesting.
One thing I can say with Shield, you have the ability to get log data of when different events have happened on your system. So you can see who's accessed different files and who's downloaded contact information. There's also now ability to write scripts on login, so you can do information about when people log in and when, I think, changing passwords as well, but not on reading of specific records, more security-related type things. I don't know if that gets exactly what you want, or if you downloading things is good enough for every single read. I don't think we're going to do with triggers on specific read at the moment.
I don't know. Yeah, there's a bunch of, if you find later, I can put you in touch with Boulent, who's the product manager in charge of the healthcare vertical, and they have a lot of HIPAA compliance and security issues, and so they might have something else you can use. Okay, next.
I have another, my name's Ben Baker. I have a kind of like another roadmap question, I guess. Is there any plans in the future, near and far, for server-side locale support, formatting numbers, pulling translations, or actually, well, yeah, no, translations already done. Mostly numbers and dates, and formatting currencies independently from numbers, things like that.
I can tell you how to hack it, but because I've had to do that. Sockle functions, we'll do that. Well,
Wait.
Are you doing it for a UI? Like, why do you? Where are you using it?
We're doing it to generate files on the server, so it never actually reaches the user like in a Visualforce page. It's all server-side locale formatting.
Yeah, come find me later, and after this, and we can talk, because we're sort of like rebooting a lot of the globalization efforts around that. And I didn't know that was a requirement, but it has come up. Another person asked me about it in a different context around generating PDFs this week, and so I would like to know exactly what your requirement is, and we can see if we can just let you do that. When it comes to translation in different languages, we're working on that a little bit, but I don't have anything on the roadmap that I can tell you. I'm just going to see if we can solve your issues.
Okay, thank you.
So.
Hi, Don Robbins. Can you speak to the future of Connect, Lightning Connect, in terms of when it might be going more than just read-only, and what the plans are for the roadmap?
I believe Writable is in pilot next week.
Oh, how cool is that?
Is it GA next week? Writable is in GA next week. There are limitations, and Alexei isn't here. Do you know what they are, Jay? For read write? Okay. I had a discussion. Alexei is that's like my feature, and so I love it. But Alexei is an architect in New York who runs it, and he was telling me this week that between this release that's coming out and the release that's going to be in February, it's going to get a lot better. But I'm not sure how I can translate that into something I can tell you. But I believe it is completely GA. Good.
And that includes if you're connecting to another Salesforce instance?
Yes.
Oh, that's really cool.
No?
No? Whoa.
No?
Fire on that.
So you have to wait a release for the new cross-org data. Writable cross-org data is not available in this release. It will be available in the next release. That might be what he was saying. What's the hashtag for? Safe harbor.
Safe.
Thank you, Janine.
That answers the question.
Okay, so sorry,
No, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. What do you want to do with it? Because one of the things that we've been talking about at the Streamforce is technology called Lightning Out. So I'm going to plug one of my own things here, which allows you to integrate, take your Lightning components and put them in other containers where you're actually using the component as an API. So kind of what I'm asking is, are you using cross-org, lower-level, you're trying to then surface that in the UI? And
I don't have any use case. I'm just
if
curious
it's like
about the
machine to
evolution.
machine, that's one thing.
Yeah,
but if it's
machine to
machine to person,
no, machine to machine is
oh,
what
okay.
where
Yeah,
I'm
then
going.
Lightning Out's not going to be your thing.
Well, it will be for other things, but
Yeah.
that's good. No,
Someone will ask.
You answered the question. I have just one more quick one. Is there any evolution in the developer console with regards to particularly
Which parts
with
of
Lightning
developer
components?
console? The editing capabilities?
Well, just the functionality and the navigation and the da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
You want to take it, Josh, or you want me to? I can answer. I mean, I'm actually wearing Cloud9's bracelet.
Yeah.
Or sorry,
Buying
wearing
them?
Cloud9's bracelet. Been plugging this pretty heavily. Josh has been working with them directly. I'm just a consumer.
The developer console was built as a reference implementation for the tooling API to make sure that we had all of the things you would need to build Cloud9 or Illuminated Cloud or Welcome Suite or any of the other tools that are being built on our platform. We have been investing with that team in other functionality like the debugger, and that's what they've been focused on. So we haven't done any. We're going to have a really hard time competing with something like what Cloud9 has built. To build that UI, they've got a full team that's larger than our developer tool team building it. And to do that on top of all the functionality is difficult to do. So I think it will be, we're going to continue to make small changes there. And every time we add functionality, we put it as much as we can into the developer console to make sure that the APIs are complete. But I don't ever expect it to be as fully featured as any full IntelliJ or Eclipse or Cloud9 or any of these type of things. So you'll see small tweaks here and there, and we'll try to fix it and make it not break.
No, thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris Peterson, and I work for Financial Force and Terrify most of the Apex team regularly. My question this time is actually not about Apex, but multi-currency. So we've had a lot of problems with multi-currency because advanced multi-currency only works on, I believe, opportunities, opportunity line items, and quotes. For everything else, you get non-dated exchange rates always, no matter what. And if you're trying to do anything with financials, that can be very bad to roll up using static exchange rates, something years in the past. So I'm curious if there's any plan to expand advanced multi-currency to custom objects, or failing that, if there's any plans for Lightning components to let us override the multi-currency display so that we could put the correct parenthesized amounts instead of the incorrect ones in.
As I said earlier, we're rebooting the globalization team, and one of the things that we are going to do next year, safe harbor, is that multi-currency will be everywhere. Now, advanced multi-currency is one thing, but right now, when you have to install your package with multi-currency into an org, they have to go call up support and figure that out. Multi-currency will be on for all orgs by the time this comes next Dreamforce. Right? Right, Carolyn? Right? Thank you. With regards to advanced currency management and expanding it out, I can't speak to how far we're going to go with that until we actually do the prioritization of that versus other internationalization features. But I know that advanced currency management expansion is on the roadmap that is going to be for that team when we reform it in a couple weeks. So you know how to find me. So he tweets me a lot. I don't. When it comes to Lightning components, though.
So you ask, can you override it in the UI? And yes, there's a feature called Lightning Extensions that's in pilot, and it allows you to target a field ID and specify which Lightning component you want to use to render that. And we are also improving our exposure of the Lightning component set, and some of the work that we're doing there is around the multi-currency rendering. So hopefully it will be better than it is today.
So Lightning Extensions, the field render is in pilot. But we have shifted things around a little bit. It's one of those things we've really wanted to get done, but it keeps falling below the line. We've moved it to a team that it's above the line for that team is the Hope. Right, Skip? Skip's right. Safe Harbor, which is the Lightning Components team. That is one of the most powerful features of Force Record Layout, the component underneath Force Record Edit and Force Record View. The thing it powers a large amount of the standard of the S1 and Lightning experience. So getting that out is pretty important because it keeps you from having to recreate things from scratch. A lot of the things you had to do with Visualforce where you would have to drop. The moment you said, I want my thing there, you had to then rebuild everything else just to get your thing there, especially in overriding edits, for example. This dramatically changes that. It allows you to surgically say, I want my thing there, and just focus on that. So it's pretty important for our just sort of approachability and ease of use.
Excellent, thank you. The one last thing I was going to say is that there's a known issue marked won't fix to have Visualforce respect disable parenthesized currency conversion, and if somebody could not won't fix that, I would very much appreciate it. Fair enough. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Mike Smith. I've got a question about Lightning and URLs in particular, which appear to mostly be going away with Lightning, and that creates a few problems. One of them is report hacks. I'm going to use the word hack lightly there because that's a documented thing that's been in Salesforce Help and been recommended by Salesforce, and I don't think I know a single client that doesn't use that. So that disappears. And then just the basic ability to take an ID and drop it on a URL and go to a record, to take that record and email it to somebody, to add question mark no override equals 1 so you get a standard layout. All that stuff, which is so important to working in Salesforce, seems to be going away. And I'm just curious why and what plans are there to maybe not do that.
It's not actually going away. There is Safe Harbor.
Well done, well done.
There is a URL mechanism inside Lightning that is predictable, but it's not fully implemented yet, fully baked. Yeah, Diego's a good way to say it. And so we have work to do that we're working on in this release and then the coming releases to make it more predictable. One thing about URLs is we need to make it so it is a versionable system, and so that we can actually treat it as an interface as opposed to treat it as something that, just because you've figured out what the scheme is, then it works, and then we do something and then it doesn't work for you. And it's a little bit of a challenge because you have, when you're dealing with the way Lightning's architected as a single page app and everything is very interactive, you want to make the URL so you can bookmark everything, but you also want to be able to deep link into pages. And as you start dealing with architectures and that allows you to write components, we want to have a system that allows your component to be deeply addressable also. So it's not as straightforward as just like make URLs, all that kind of stuff.
The big difference here is you're hearing us for the first time talk about actually solving that problem, not giving you a hack that we can't support. So I think that's a really important distinction. This isn't like, oh, there'll be some new hack you can do. Right? We're going to treat it as an API, which is music to my ears. Right? That's the world I live in, is mostly thinking about API and versioning, not version control systems necessarily, but versioning, being able to make sure that as long as you don't change your stuff, every release, every patch that Salesforce releases does not break you. And that's part of it, because we could be breaking that at any time, and then we look at it and say, well, sorry, it wasn't part of our API. Quasi-documented, it's still... Yeah, I know. The argument is you can't be half pregnant, but we're finally formalizing and going after it for real, which I think is pretty amazing because we haven't done that in 15 years of UI.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Scott here. Nobody's going to ask me any questions, but I want to know if you wanted to make any comments before we go to the next question. Are you okay? You're good? Good. I told him, I'm like, oh yeah, they're only going to ask about Apex and Visualforce and reports, so.
Hi, I'm Daniel Bellinger. If I find a security issue with something, what's your preferred way for me to communicate that to someone in Salesforce? And are there going to be any repercussions back to me if it looks like I'm trying to hack something where I'm just investigating? Is there like a policy that says you're not going to?
Sorry, and do you have a bounty, like a reward program?
We do have a bug bounty program. I don't. Is anybody here from ProdSec? I know that you can email trust@salesforce.com if you find an issue with the product, but the details of the bug bounty program, we're finalizing it. I think I was in a meet. It's live. So yes, we have a bug bounty program. I don't know any of the details, but if you go to trust.salesforce.com or email trust@salesforce.com, you should be able to get through that.
And it's not retrospective?
Or should we have him ask should he have him tell, do you want him to tell us what the problem is now?
Yeah.
Probably not a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I marked this as not recordable, but I don't want any 0 days, so.
Thanks.
So Jason Venable, I lead application development for GeoPoint App Exchange partner. And echoing the sentiments earlier about the URLs, I think I died a little bit inside when I went to the new UI and put my mouse over a link and it said JavaScript. I couldn't open something in a new window.
Yeah, we're fixing that.
Okay, like power users here want to be able to do that. I mean, I just don't forget that it's a web app. It's not just like being used in mobile applications too.
The True to the Core session had that exact same comment.
Okay.
And
awesome.
Parker apologized for that. And then turned to Phil.
He's fixing it.
Excellent, thank you. Because I know that was just a huge pain point, and it's like I can't open something in a new tab, white screen. It was painful. So thank you.
Actually, he's fixing it.
Hi, my name is Paul Fox. I'm the CTO at Apto. We're an OEM partner in commercial real estate. And my question is, you guys have done such great work on Lightning Experience and becoming a real platform company. But on the other hand, this release of Lightning Experience decided to focus specifically on Sales Cloud to the point where there's actually some challenges with people that aren't in sales using it, like seeing a blank dashboard on their homepage. And we continue to have kind of branding problems where sometimes it says Salesforce, sometimes it says Apto. We can't get consistency with those kind of things. So I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are around that and kind of how we can help out and give you feedback on that kind of stuff to make it easier to make the UI consistent.
Yeah, it's a big challenge. I think the first part where we focused on sales for this release, I mean, obviously the product teams and the executive teams focus on the priorities, but to go from where we were at the beginning of the previous release to get to a shippable version, there has to be some focus and some trade-offs, and the business makes the call on what the focus is. But I think the group here and the group in the sitting here that's building it, we've been working a long time on the platform that is underneath the Lightning Experience and what is surfaced right now as the sales experience. So it was a colossal effort across all of R&D to actually pull it off. So a little bit of focus was required, and that was some trade-offs in the first release. But best thing about us is we've got 3 of these releases every year, and the next one's going to be starting to surface a lot more of the platformy features. And a lot of this stuff that we're starting to see in the Lightning Experience with Doug and Skip and Richard, et cetera, we're providing that mechanism to make very consistent UIs. It's one of the things that I think is really important is that a lot of our customers end up using something that's pieced together by what the components that we build, the components that you build, and having that being a completely seamless experience is super important, and that's been basically what we've been working on.
All right, thanks. Yeah, definitely very excited to use that stuff. It looks amazing. Just now we have to wait.
Just more, yeah. It's just a start, exactly.
Hey, Chris from Blackstone, and I'm sorry, but it is a governor limits question, but not what you think. Is there any tool, will there be any tool, so that way we could keep track of what our users are doing in terms of coming close to governor limits during normal operation? My users have surprised me many times in finding new ways to blow sockles and DMLs, and it's possible that 3 weeks ago they did the same thing, and they got close, but they didn't blow this limit. I don't have any logs or ability to check.
We have a feature that I believe is generally available in a winter release It's platform monitoring. It's the name of it. Who? Ladies and gentlemen, Samarpan.
So we have a GA feature already, which is the event monitoring, which is a part of a shield, where you can monitor 29 events. But there is another one, which is a pilot right now going on, is Apex limit events, which you can work with Adam Torman. He's the PM to enable the feature so that you can see what are the governor limits, and you can query using a SOCL in the near real time.
Cool.
Yeah, and the idea with that is it tells you by entry point which ones are coming the closest to hitting different limits, which ones are going beyond sort of 60% or 70% over thresholds. You can see this Visualforce page or this API entry point.
I mean, ideally, I'd also like to see if a user saved a record or merged something, or they do some really crazy shit sometimes.
Yeah, event monitoring tells you what happened, and then we're adding limits as one more thing that you can see.
My name is Dave Stroke. I'm from a small consulting partner called Wire and Triangle. I've actually only been working with Salesforce for about 9 months. This is my first Dreamforce. And one of the things that you guys are so even-keeled. So I'm going to follow up with that question later about how you guys keep it all together. But I actually have a specific question. A weird thing that we ran into recently was when you're running certain processes that aren't necessarily connected to a user, like deduplicating records, it kicks off as a generic user, and we encountered no logs from that situation, and it took us a long time to kind of debug what exactly was going on, because for some odd reason, we actually got pretty much no debug logs. So we ended up kind of working around it to kind of fake it and spit some stuff out. But is there any sort of plan, or is that a known issue, or is that a weird thing that we kind of ran into? I'm curious to kind of see what we should have done, or if there's some sort of workaround for that.
The automated process user.
Yes.
The automated process user is my fault. But not being able to not being able to debug it, known issue. Known issue. So I got to go talk to Prasad now because he owns it. Okay. stam@salesforce.com. Please send me an email to remind me, and I'll see what we can do. Because I know that it came up with a package manager user like a year ago. And I thought we did some, okay, we'll figure it out.
Super. Nope, I'm going to pass. I'll come back for that later.
Okay.
So since somebody brought up limits, I figured it was only fair if I ask another limit question. Occasionally I do have some Apex that does hit the CPU limit, and trying to debug exactly what, why, and profile it effectively has always been a challenge with debug logs, especially with the 2 meg limit. Is there any sort of tooling, larger debug logs, specialized tooling, anything coming down the pipe that would help with that?
Yes. We have built something we're calling, perfectly for what your question was, Apex Profiler. It is currently running its internal. We're using it for a few different things, internal orgs. We haven't been able to turn it into a full product yet, but it does it gives you a nice little butterfly graph of all the time spent in every single one of your methods, and you can isolate down how much time, where your hotspots are. So it's coming out as soon as we get around to converting it into a fully available product. Everybody removing all of the things that you can't see, that you don't necessarily need to see, that will just confuse you, and making it so you can just use the output that's relevant. And redacting managed package stuff so that people who are using it in their org don't see your code, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot to take it from working to being able to give it to you, but it's there.
When you're doing that, can you make sure that if we're logged in through Partner Black tab, we can see managed stuff? Because that would make it very, very useful. And your probably most dreaded follow-up question, will this be like the debugger at an added cost or something that's baked in?
I don't know.
To both of them?
The first one, I will bug the person who's responsible for Partner Black tab, but the second one, I don't know if we'll charge for it or not.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Hopefully not. We normally don't. We only charge if we have a good reason to, and I don't know that we will for this. So I'm assuming it'd be available.
Awesome. Thank you.
Safe harbor.
Hey, it's Ben again from Oracle.
If you have notes, I'm worried.
It's strange. I work at Oracle, but I make apps in the App Exchange, so whatever. I went to a session yesterday. It was really, really exciting about a feature that's been out for a while, the continuation object to help us, do multiple API calls string together. But it did something that I did not see before, and I'm really excited about, where you can specify string, and when it's done with its call, its service call, it will then use that string to figure out what method to call next in Apex. And this is something I've never seen before in Apex, and I got really, really excited and hoping that more of that happen, where we can dynamically call a method, just like we can dynamically create the type.
You mean reflection support in Apex?
Yes.
Not soon. I can actually tell you why, but you're not going to like the answer. That is probably, I would say you'll see the case statement in Apex first, before you'll see reflection. So, hey, hold on. Everybody calm down. Everybody calm down. Everybody relax. It's all okay. Yeah, you should follow up with Josh later, because it's come up a lot actually in our internal ISVs as well, and there are workarounds you can use, but they're all not awesome.
Thank you.
Unless Doug wants to fix it. Not right now.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I work for Financial Force. I have a question about Process Builder. From what I've seen, you can't see the API names in the UI, and I'm wondering if that's intentional. It's only field labels, so if you have fields that have the same name, it's hard to really know what you're doing. And I'm just wondering if that's kind of like the direction you're heading of removing some of the more technical elements so that people that are, I guess, more admin and user can use it easier?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Leo. I'm one of the developers on the process teams, including Process Builder. Great question. I'm not a product manager, but I've been arguing for the API name exposure. It's the varying users of Process Builder we have. We have some declarative admins where API names are very unfriendly.
But can't you put both? I mean, because the functionality is awesome.
Absolutely.
And from my understanding is that you can't access all of that functionality without going through Process Builder. So if you want to use the functionality, then you're kind of left guessing, and it takes a lot of time to load the different pick lists, so it's actually a slow thing anyway. So then having to go and reference API names somewhere else it just is more time consuming.
Right. It's definitely on the roadmap. Shelly Urseg is a product manager. It's slotted a couple releases away. Unfortunately, we're trying to tackle reorder first.
Is that the way you're going though with design, to remove some of the more technical elements and some of the things we're seeing?
For Process Builder, it was. Process Builder was very focused on providing a highly usable UI for our very declarative admins. The Flow Designer, though, is the more technical user interface. And we are actively working on making sure that processes can be opened up in Flow Designer. So if you started something in one place, you can finish it off in another.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Alex. I'm working for one of consulting partners called Customer Times. And I actually work for different huge projects in the financial sector with lots of real-time integration. And we usually need to build some debugging functionality to catch the requests and the responses, some logging for that stuff, either native in Force.com object, which is actually a bad way because of storage, or using web services to store it in external databases. So maybe any solution will be provided for that stuff to log all the activities in integration.
We're working on event streaming. I can't really say more, so that you won't have to store that kind of information inside the main database. We do have a big objects HBase project that is coming soon. It's in pilot so that you can, with cheaper storage for things of that nature. So we're working on things to make it so that you don't have to use, database tables to store.
Okay, thanks.
And then, unfortunately, this is the last question because we're out of time. No. You both of you can ask the question. But then we're done.
Hi, my name is Stefania. I work for Front in New Zealand. My question is about the process builder. I mean, it's great, and since it's been released, I have a lot of problems with saving records and all these kind of things, like fail to trigger a flow or those kind of exceptions. And they're quite hard to debug because there's no detail on the debug logs for what's process builder. And I was wondering if there's any plan to extend it or...
There's plans, right, Leo?
The process flow team, simple answer, process flow team is working on improving debugging a lot. I think what's coming up in the next couple releases is a much more usable email where we will break down how a flow is running, where its states are, and that'll include process builder. In the longer term, we'll have process versus flow specific debug emails. Hopefully it'll be a lot easier to find what's going on.
Great. And any plan for bulkifying it?
Lots of plans. With the next release, we did change how we bulkified queries. So instead of hitting the 200 SOCL limit, you'll be going after the much larger 50,000 record pool.
Okay, thank you.
And more is coming over the next year.
My name is Barry Hughes from Dublin, Ireland. Working with a partner with just a question on Lightning Out, which is something I really only heard about from Dreamforce this year. And yesterday, Doug, you showed an example in the developer theater of using it in Visualforce. What are the implications of possibly using with the mobile SDK? Could it even go into native apps? Is that a possibility in the future?
Definitely. But so one of the things, there's a couple of different scenarios. One of the ones that's more creative that I hadn't even thought of yet, I was talking to another partner yesterday, another ISV, that they're using the mobile SDK with a hybrid local. So they have their basically local web root of their web application, and it's implemented in Angular. So that's all resonant, all bundled up as part of the native application. And they want to mix in some Lightning components. So when they heard me talk about Lightning Out, they got very excited about this because now they can take that architecture that they've got, blend in Lightning components through Lightning Out, which that's another viable container form, and we actually, which will work fine. One of the things we started talking about was what about offline? So there's a little bit of a challenge there, which we can talk about definitely offline, right? Around getting things to actually boot offline when I don't have access to the application cache, right? When you're talking about a hybrid application, hybrid remote, in order to get that to work, you have to start getting into HTML app cache so that the browser knows where to look when you don't have connectivity. That's one challenge that's sort of unique to the Lightning Out world. That's not insurmountable, but I don't have a package solution for that because you own the manifest. So I have to sort of talk about adding the two manifests together. And in theory, that would actually allow us to boot offline. There is something in the middle of that which we should talk about, which came up at lunch. It came up together at lunch. We're like, well, hey, if we actually prime things and call $lightning.use, where you specify the set of components you want to have access to, if you do that whenever the UI web view is recycled, which means when you've authenticated it, you've got connectivity. As long as that UI web view stays alive, you actually can work completely disconnected at that point. So there's some really cool, I love that, I actually like that blend quite a bit. And that's a very different way of thinking than we've been talking since last year about, I want to use Angular, I want to use React inside of building my Lightning components. This is different. I'm trying to use a Lightning component regardless of what it is. Could be, in their case, one of them was force chatter feed, was what they wanted to leverage. That's not using Angular, that's authored by us. That actually works really nicely in their, okay, sorry. Got me. You can solve it all with Lightning Out.